We're back with Be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. And today we're talking about funding your business with Elijah McCoy of McCoy Brokerage Services. Elijah, as we close out our last segment, you really gave me a great jumping off point for this part of the conversation. This idea of planning and having a business plan being critical to being able to raise financing, whatever the source. Talk some more about why that's important, what you need to see, what anybody whether you're an investor, a lender, even if you're a family member that's looking to support a business financially. Why is that important, and what do people need to be able to see, or what do entrepreneurs need to be able to show to inspire confidence in a potential funder or investor?
Okay, good. That's a great question. One of the main things is, I call it the 5 W's. Who, where, what, when, and why. They want to know, who are you? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to do it? When? And why? What's the purpose of what you're doing? So whether if you're going to a bank or a family member or a hedge fund investor, what have you, they want to see something on paper. This is even prior to COVID. It's even worse now since COVID because we're still in the pandemic. So the lenders and investors, even family members, if you're going to them for funding, they want to make sure you got some kind of plan put together to where you're confident in whatever it is you're trying to do. And secondarily, banks like to make sure that you have the ability to repay the debt. Meaning, right now they want to make sure you have it's called a secondary source of repayment. So yeah, you want to do this, you want to do that, but do you have income outside of what you're doing in case your project goes belly up? Are you able to still live, or are you all in? Do you have outside income? They're looking for that's means of security for them to get their recoup their funds back on the loan that they make. So you also need to have what's called income projections. That's like an income forecast. You could do 2 years, but preferably 3. Do 3 years income projections, explaining, I think after year 1, I'll make X amount of dollars. Year 2, I'll make X amount. Year 3, so forth and so on. And then you show your income, expenses with your profit at the bottom. You also need to have what's called assumptions. Assumptions are it's a document that actually creates the income projections. You get real detail in assumptions, and it'll say like, okay, for instance, let's say if I was a doctor, I'm putting together a business plan. I'll say, okay, I'll make $1 million for the year. Well, this is how this works. You go and create assumptions. You may say, okay, I'll see 21 patients in a day. Get X amount of dollars per day times 5 days in a week when I'm open times 52 weeks in a year. Oh, that's how I got to $1 million. Makes sense? And you'll do that with the income and the expenses. Banks, hedge fund groups, even life insurance companies are lenders as well. They love that because it shows that you did not just you could be good with Excel, okay? But if you got assumptions, they know you just didn't throw something together out the sky.
Elijah, I in addition to coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs, I'm often a judge for national business plan competitions, the business pitch competitions. We got to look at people's financials. And what you're talking about is something I tell people, it has to be reality-based projections. Like, it can't be just these numbers all add up, so that's what I put into the spreadsheet. It's like you said, this is what I charge for this. This is how many customers pay for this every day. So that you're building your projections on real life stuff. And I tell people, even if you haven't started the business yet, because people say, well, I don't know because I haven't started the business. I said, but there's prices for everything. You can find out how much it really costs to provide that good or service and build that into your model. The other thing that I often look for, and this goes to your point, of reminding people, especially who may be new to entrepreneurship, that everybody who gives you money is expecting something back. If it's a loan, they expect to be paid back with interest. If it's an investor, they expect you to make enough money to give them their money back plus. I'm reminded of the master in the talents, the parable of the talents. He gave them the talents and said, no, don't just give me back what I gave you. I expect a profit. I'm giving it to you for a profit. And so I'm always asking entrepreneurs, show me the part where the money comes back out.
That's exactly
You're
right.
showing me where the money's going in because you want, the banker's money or the insurance company's money or the lender's money. But show me where the money comes out, because your ability to tell a reasonably believable story about where the money's going to come back out is a key to them saying, okay, I'll take a chance on you. I'll put that money in. How often do you have to have that conversation with the people that you're helping?
All day, every day. And we call it, in our world, we call it an exit strategy.
Yes.
What's your exit strategy? Most don't have one. And that's like, you could write a good business plan, do projections, do assumptions, but in the end, you don't have an exit strategy showing them, okay, in 5, 6, 7 years, I'll make X, Y, Z, and I'll be able to pay the loan back comfortably. They're looking for confidence. You don't have to be head on and actually do that. They're just looking for confidence. As long as you're making your payments, you'll be fine. But they want to see that you have a plan to possibly pay them off with some kind of an exit strategy.
Tell me, in terms of the services you provide to your clients, let me back up a bit as I ask this question. Often entrepreneurs are good at the business they're in, but they're not good at the operational and the numbers part of the business. Like, I'm good at making clothes, or I'm good at baking cakes, or I'm good at repairing computers. I'm good at that, but I'm not good at understanding my daily profit margins and my expenses, and how important it is for the entrepreneur, him or herself, to at least become comfortable with the numbers. And at the same time, how valuable is it to have someone like you that says, listen, let me help you get this kind of organized so you understand what you're doing, as opposed to you're doing something every day, but you're not turning a profit. You don't know you're not turning a profit because you're not paying attention to that stuff.
Right. It's very important. I have some clients that they hate numbers. It gives them a headache. Okay, but it's really a key driving force of the business. It's like the umbilical cord. It's the life force of the business, the blood. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know what's going in, what's going out, and what's being retained as profit. It's important to know. And I tell all my clients that. I had one, Alfred, one of my clients didn't even check her bank account. And been in business, about 10, 12 years, generated a couple $1 million every year, but didn't check her bank account. And like those kind of things like that, you never want to put 100% trust in your business in somebody else's hands. That's a no. That's a no. You need to know what's going in, what's going out, what's being left in the bank at all times.
So really, when you're working with your clients in a healthy relationship with the entrepreneur and someone like you, it's meant to be a partnership. Like I said, it's not your business, so it can't be all your responsibility. It's their business, but at the same time, they need to be able to rely on your expertise, and I'm gonna say your integrity, speaking as a person of faith, that you are really there to help them. You are really there to help them to achieve their goals. You talk to me about how that partnership works when you're talking about providing funding for a business.
Sure. What I have to do is just have a straight conversation with them and tell them the areas that they're lacking in. That's key. One client, I looked at her financials and I found a $400,000 gap in her numbers, and come to find out, they did some investigation and employees were stealing from her. She didn't log in and check her accounts. Employees were stealing from her cash, and so now they got rid of the cash system. They do everything with a debit card and credit cards. And now she dived into her own numbers herself.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It's important.
That'll do it. Listen, this is a great segment. I want to keep this conversation going. You're listening to Be Lifted Up, your guide to living an abundant life with Elijah McCoy, talking about funding your business. We'll be right back.